ഇന്ന് AIDSOയുടെ ഫേസ്ബുക്ക് പേജ് വഴി നമ്മൾ ഭഗത് സിംഗിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള ഒരു പ്രഭാഷണ പരിപാടി അവതരിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. ഭഗത് സിംഗും ഇന്ത്യൻ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യ സമരത്തിൽ വിപ്ലവധാരകളും എന്ന വിഷയത്തിലാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ പ്രഭാഷണം നയിക്കുന്നത് JNUവിലെ മുൻ പ്രൊഫസറും ഭഗത് സിംഗ് ചരിത്രത്തിൽ എക്സ്പേർട്ടുമായ പ്രൊഫസർ ചമൻലാലാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ഭഗത് സിംഗിനെ കുറിച്ച് ധാരാളം പുസ്തകങ്ങൾ എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഭഗത് സിംഗ് റീഡർ അതിൽ വളരെ പ്രസിദ്ധമായ ഒരു പുസ്തകമാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം നമ്മോടൊപ്പം ഉണ്ടെന്ന്. അപ്പോൾ പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക് നേരിട്ട് കടക്കാം. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ടോക്ക് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിലായിരിക്കും. ആദ്യം 40 മിനിറ്റ് അദ്ദേഹം പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്തും. പിന്നീട് ചോദ്യങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉത്തരം നൽകുന്ന വേളയാണ്. 20 മിനിറ്റോളം അദ്ദേഹം ചോദ്യങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉത്തരം നൽകും. So today we are organizing the talk on Bhagat Singh and revolutionary trend in Indian freedom struggle. Today we have Professor Chaman Lal. He is a retired professor from JNU and an expert in Bhagat Singh's history. He wrote many books on Bhagat Singh, including Bhagat Singh Reader, and he returned his Sahitya Academy Award in 2016 to protest the growing intolerance in India and muzzling of civil liberties and freedom of thought and expression. So I'm directly welcoming Professor Chaman Lal to speak on the subject, the Bhagat Singh and the trends of revolutionary trends in Indian freedom struggle. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Greetings to all AIDOS activists in Kerala and other places, and apart from AIDOS activists, other people who are also hearing this talk. We are going to talk about Bhagat Singh in this program, and I think for South, I think this is my first live talk. I have been speaking for North people on many programs, but for South, I'm happy that Kerala, which has some writings of Bhagat Singh translated in Malayalam, has also shown interest in Bhagat Singh. They already had interest in Bhagat Singh. Actually, there are many books in Malayalam on Bhagat Singh, and some of his writings have also been translated in Malayalam. So, since today we have we are talking about Bhagat Singh, say 6 days after another world great revolutionary, Che Guevara's birthday. So, in a way, we are paying tribute to both Bhagat Singh and Che Guevara, who have many things in common. Now, coming to the topic, which were the revolutionary trends, or let us say, what was the form of freedom struggle of India? In fact, this freedom struggle, which we generally talk in history, is an anti-colonial struggle against British colonialism. One can say that India, any country, would have been going through many phases in its social life, where many oppressive rulers will be there in the past, and there have been many struggles or resistance against those rulers, whether they were local or they were foreigners. But here we limit our reference to the about 200-year old. And from 1757, East India Company, which was, has entered India during Mughal Emperor Jahangir day in about 1600 or so. But after 150 years or so, as a company, it became the political ruler of the country. And in 1757, during Plassey War, Indian local rulers, they actually lost, and East India Company, with much less number in their army or armed force, and Indians had much armed forces with them, but there were lot many people who were betraying the Indian people. So from 1757 to 1857, there is 100-year rule, or say 101-year rule of East India Company in India. In 1857, the first war of independence, although there are disputes about this claim, because in South India there have been freedom struggles against Britishers, against East India Company, Tipu Sultan struggle, Hyder Ali struggle, cut boning struggle in Tamil Nadu in 1806 or so. So one southern historian had actually claimed that 1806 struggle was the first war of independence. But leaving aside the terms, the fact is that 1857, the resistance was very widespread, and it has spread to almost whole of North India, parts of East India, parts of West India. It has less effect in South India, and that resistance actually resulted later. Although Indians lost all the major heroes and heroines of that war, this war was fought in the leadership of the last emperor of India, Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was actually very old at that time, but he was a figurehead. But the fighting force were people like Nana Fadnavis, Tantiya Tope, Rani Lakshmibai, Jhalkari Bai, and a huge number of others, Ahmad Ali, Ahmad Shah, and Kunwar Singh, and so many others. But final result of that was that India was put under direct rule of British Queen. Means British government acquired the direct control of India, and Indian British Queen was called as a Queen of, and that Britain had its colonies all over the world. Actually, it had colonies in almost 50, 60 countries of Asia and Africa. But India was the biggest kind of catch in its kitty. So from 1858 onwards, there have been trends. Again, the continuation from 1757 continues later. Prior to 1857, there were Adivasi heroes like Birsa Munda, Tilka Manjhi, Sidhu Kanu. Some fought in Bihar area, some fought what is called Jharkhand area, etc. After 1858 proclamation of the Queen of Britain to take India directly under its wings, and in British Parliament becoming, its lawmaker, and then later an Indian lawmaker institution was also created, what is called Parliament today. That Parliament was called during British time Central Assembly. So that was also created somewhere in the beginning of 20th century. But then laws were made in British Parliament about India. There was one minister for Indian affairs, and Viceroy in India was answerable to British Parliament as well as the minister concerned with India. So, but it's such a huge country, and Britishers also knew that you cannot rule such a huge country without creating some internal mechanism of institutions. So they created some sort of local self-governments, panchayats and municipalities, etc. Then 1885, Indian National Congress was formed. It was formed by, again, a Britisher, Alexander Octavio Hume, A.O. Hume. But slowly and slowly it became the vehicle of mass resistance of Indian people against British colonialism. It has its phases. It has its factions. There were Garamdal, Narmdal, in the Congress itself. And after a few years from it, in fact, there have been people who have been very radical in their thinking, like Naroji. Dadabhai Naroji also remained president of Indian National Congress at one time, and he was a member of British Parliament also. So there is one of his famous book, Un-British Rule in India. That is a huge book, 1,000 pages book. It's now freely available on archive.org or other websites. So 1,000+ pages. Now it has shown how British government was squeezing India, labor, India's resources, etc. And then there started, along with Congress movement, there was revolutionary movements also, because British government as a colonial government was a very brutal and oppressive state. In that oppressive state, in 1897, actually there were three centers of revolutionary resistance, revolutionary movements. One was Maharashtra, another was Bengal, and one was Punjab. These three have been big states also. And Bengal was so big. Now, out of that, the whole country, Bangladesh, has been created. And Punjab has been so big that a large chunk of Pakistan is Punjab only. So, that sense, and Maharashtra was also big. And those days, Maharashtra, actually, there were only, it was not called Maharashtra even. They were during British time, there were presidencies. There was Bombay presidency, there was Madras presidency, and there was, Calcutta presidency. So these presidency, Bengal presidency. So in those presidencies, there were states, Bihar, etc., Assam, etc., was part of Bengal presidency. And then many states of the West was part of Bombay presidency, and then southern states were part of Madras presidency, etc. Now, this huge kind of states. In 1897, there was plague in India, and then one particular British officer was very brutal, and then some of the revolutionaries who were under the influence of Tilak also. Tilak was part of Congress movement, but he was called a sort of Garamdal. He was a sort of radical kind of thing. But in today's terms, we will say that there were two trends in Congress at that time during the early 20th century. One was called Garamdal, one was called Narmdal. In Garamdal, the three trio was famous. Lal Bal Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai in Punjab, Bal Gangadhar Tilak in Maharashtra, and Bipin Chandra Pal in Bengal. Now again belonging to three main centers which developed revolutionary movements also. So Tilak was getting out his paper Kesari in Marathi, and he was actually imprisoned for 6 years for bringing out this paper. In fact, interestingly, Jinnah was his counsel. Jinnah, who's so much abused in India these days, and by those very nationalists who uphold Tilak, they don't know that Jinnah and Tilak were very close friends. And Jinnah was counsel for Tilak in that case in which he was, convicted and imprisoned. So, Chapekar brothers, there were three Chapekar brothers. They assassinated that, Deputy Commissioner who was very brutal. So, from there, Shiv Verma, in his collection of Bhagat Singh writing, actually, Shiv Verma's collection is available in Kerala quite frequently. In fact, this is available in English also. And also, I understand that this is available in Malayalam translation also. So, Shiv Verma, in his introduction to the limited collection of Bhagat Singh writing, which he brought out in English and Hindi in 1986, around the same time, we also brought out larger collection. So, ideological development of revolutionary movements in India. So, he takes that reference point from 1897 when this has happened. Now, coming further, in Bengal, there were two revolutionary groups. One was Anushīlan, another was Yugantar. Now, most of the revolutionary groups in Maharashtra as well as in Bengal, they were using Hindu religious symbols, for emotional appeal to the people. So that was one of the, in fact, drawbacks of those movements, which were attracting, in a way, only as a community, only Hindu community into the revolutionary movements. They were not communal in the today's terms. They had no hatred for Muslim communities or any other communities, but just because of those days' atmosphere, so they were using those Hindu symbols. Now, Anushīlan Samiti again has two factions. So one was called Dhaka faction, which is now capital of Bangladesh. One was called Calcutta faction. So these two factions were there. And Bengal was divided on communal basis, which actually later on led to the division in 47 also, on the same communal division in 1905. So they created two parts of Bengal. That was done by, I think, Lord Curzonstein. That Muslim majority was created one part and Hindu majority was created one. And you see, that's very important for these days. There were massive, outbursts of anger among people to divide Bengal on communal lines. Actually, that was the very interesting part, that the whole of Bengal rose up, including Rabindranath Tagore and all those people, Bankim Chandra and so many old people. They all rose in one voice. There were actually tradition of binding Rakhis, like brothers and sisters bind Rakhis. They used as a political movement. Hindus and Muslims were binding Rakhis to each other's, to show the unity among people. And ironically, same Bengal has Noakhali riots in 1956. But that was the Bengal during British times or against British colonialism, which presented the finest example of communal unity, communal harmony, in a sense, the broader Indian unity. The whole Indian citizenry, since Bengal has a very large number of Muslims as well as Hindus. So the British government was compelled to undo the division of Bengal few years later, and again Bengal became united. In that movement, revolutionaries had played a very great role. So, in those times, there were a number of revolutionaries in those days, but well-known name is of Khudiram Bose. Khudiram Bose, which was just hanged at the age of 18 plus. I think he is one of the youngest martyrs of revolutionary movement. So This was another part. And in Punjab, around the same time, in 1907, there was a great peasantry crisis. The peasants of Punjab were in debt as they are now in all over India. Last 15 years or so, more than 3 lakhs peasants have committed suicides because of debt, and they have not been able to clear their debt, and they are committing suicides. In those days, same was the condition in Punjab. Punjab is a more agricultural kind of state and more dependent upon agriculture. And that time, Lala Lajpat Rai and Bhagat Singh's elder uncle, Ajit Singh, they had created a movement which was called Pagadi Sambhal Jatta. Now, Bhagat Singh's birth was in 1907, 28th September 1907. It was in Layalpur, Bangay. He was not born in present day India. He was born in present day Pakistan. That is Layalpur, Bangay. It was called those days. These days, Layalpur has been renamed as Faisalabad. So there was Chak number 105, the name of the village, and where Bhagat Singh's family has come to have lands there, because British government has offered lands at a very cheap price to Punjab farmers in this part, because they had brought out 2 canals in that area, and the land was very fertile. So lot many families had come from Majha and Doaba region of Punjab. So Pagadi Sambhal Jatta, there was volume, please. My voice is not clear. Is it coming clear by now? I'm
Clear,
trying
but
to
a
speak a
little
bit.
bit needed. Voice is needed.
Yeah, I don't know, Mala, how to. I try to speak a little louder.
Yes,
And
that is better, sir. Thank you.
now can it be heard? Is it clear or?
It is clear in earphone, but all are not using headphone. That's the problem.
Yeah, and actually, I always get this problem when I'm speaking. So this volume is always a big problem. So I do not know whether there is some way to increase the volume. Yeah, it's 100
No,
here.
there is no option to increase.
Uh, so only to
So
speak
you
louder.
guys, yes, that is the only option.
Till
Okay.
now, had my voice been heard properly, I have
Yes,
been able to
uh,
convey
yeah, it
whatever I
is.
have been.
I know it is little bit unclear. So you can
Okay,
continue little more voice.
okay.
Okay.
Let me
Thanks.
speak a bit louder. Now, 1907, there was Pagadi Sambhal Jatta, led by Lala Lajpat Rai and Bhagat Singh elder uncle. Actually, Bhagat Singh family, I will just tell you briefly. Bhagat Singh's grandfather, Arjun Singh, was a nationalist. Well, he never joined political movement or didn't go to jail, but he was a strong nationalist, and he was Arya Samajist as well as having faith in Sikh religion. He has 3 sons: Kishan Singh, Ajit Singh, and Swaran Singh. Now, Kishan Singh was Bhagat Singh's father, Ajit Singh was his elder uncle, and Swaran Singh was his younger uncle. Now, elder uncle of Bhagat Singh, Ajit Singh, he suffered, and younger uncle of Bhagat Singh, Swaran Singh. Swaran Singh actually he caught tuberculosis in jail itself. He died at the age of 23 plus, at the age Bhagat Singh was hanged. So his younger uncle Swaran Singh, he died for the country. His elder uncle Ajit Singh, who has written his own autobiography. You can find it on the net also. You can find it on the Shaheed Bhagat Singh org also. Now, Ajit Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai, they created this Pagadi Sambhal Jatta movement. A song was written in those days, in 1907, by Lala Bankedwal, who was a police inspector. And for writing that song, he was dismissed from service and also put into jail for 2 years. for writing that song, Pagdi Sambhal Jatta. Now that was the song which expressed the anguish of Punjab peasants and that how he was being squeezed by the city, this banyas and all that. So that was the kind of atmosphere in which Bhagat Singh was born. Now this Punjab movement, it was always more or less secular movement. Unlike Maharashtra and Bengal, where there is a strong Hindu connotation in the revolutionary movement. In Punjab, it was almost secular, all three. Like this Pagdi Sambhal Jatta, in this all Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims participated. It was not a revolutionary movement, but it was a mass movement of the peasants, but which led later to the Gadar movement. When a Gadar movement is the one Punjabi movement which was not created in Punjab, but it was Punjab peasants who had gone to America from 1905 to 1912, 13. So there were thousands of Punjabi peasants and other Indians also. So Indians, large number of them Punjabis, they created Gadar Party in America in 1913. Its name was not Gadar Party, so it was a association of Pacific kind of thing, but it became known as Gadar Party because it brought out a journal in many languages: Punjabi, Hindi, Gujarati, Nepali, etc. It was called Gadar. That journal came from 1st November 1913. So it became known as Gadar Party. Now that journal, it continued, and that Gadar Party took its name Gadar from the 1857 revolt. 1857 revolt or first war of independence was called by Britishers as Gadar. Gadar means creating disturbance, creating this kind of revolt. So in a negative sense. But Gadar Party people said that for us, doing Gadar is an honor. So 1857, our forefathers have done a great revolutionary act of trying to free India. So we are going to repeat that. So we are also Gadarite. So 1857 people were also doing Gadar. British called them Gadar, and we themselves honorific take it as a Gadar. So we do Gadar. So they tried to make another revolt in Punjab, armed revolt. When 1857 was an armed revolt, then this was also tried as an armed revolt, organizing people from the army, etc. This was to be done in 1915, actually February 1915. First it was declared 21st February, then it was declared 19th February, but Gadar failed to click because there were internal, molds from the British government. So British government was knowing everything. There is a long story, so I will not go much. But Shiv Verma, who himself was a very close comrade of Bhagat Singh and who suffered, in Andamans, and he was given life imprisonment in the Lahore conspiracy case, along with in which Bhagat Singh was hanged. So he said that this was the first secular democratic revolutionary movement. 1915 Gadar movement was the first secular democratic revolutionary movement from the Indian revolutionaries. So from there actually this Bhagat Singh movement, which first was called as Hindustan Republican Association. Actually, the revolutionaries from all over the country, Stindranath Sanyal, actually he has suffered earlier in Anushilin movement and other movements, other revolutionary movements, and he was given a life sentence. But after release in 1923, they gathered revolutionaries from all over country, from different places, from Maharashtra, from Bengal, from Punjab, etc. And then they reorganized themselves as a HRA, Hindustan Republican Association, whose armed wing was called Hindustan Republican Army. So that was the organization of Bhagat Singh and his comrades. Now, Bhagat Singh has joined National College. Actually, Bhagat Singh was active from the very early period. And at the age of 12 years, in 1919, this Jallianwala tragedy occurred, where Britishers had shot down more than 1,000 people in Amritsar, in Jallianwala Bagh. And Bhagat Singh, at the age of 12 years, Lahore and Amritsar are very close. I mean, nowadays they are in different countries, but their geographical distances, they would have been one city had the partition not taken place. Now, he took train in the morning from Lahore to Amritsar. The very next day, 13th April 1919, the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy occurred, and next day he went to the Jallianwala Bagh, and there he saw the dead bodies and bloodshed, everything. And he brought some sand filled with blood in a glass bottle. That glass bottle is still preserved in Khatkar Kala, Nawashahar Bhagat Singh Museum. So, which he has brought. And then he returned in the evening to home, and his younger sister, Bibi Amar Kaur, so he said, brother, where you were? So he was very sad and he didn't take food, etc. So he said that I have been to Amritsar and I brought this. So they kept that blood-soaked sand, that glass bottle, in their house, and later on it was preserved and is still preserved. Now, in with his father and uncles, they were all Congress actors. With his father, he was going to actually Congress sessions also. He attended many Congress sessions with his father. In fact, probably he attended the only session of Congress which was held in Belgavi, which is Belgaum. It was Belgaum earlier. It was Belgavi in Karnataka, and where Mahatma Gandhi had only one time had presided over Congress session. Probably Bhagat Singh had attended that session in 1924. Now, he joined National College, National College, national schools, national universities during Mahatma Gandhi's call for non-cooperation movement, Asahayog Andolan, which he gave the call in 1921, which is with the strict instruction that no violence has to be committed during this non-cooperation movement. And 1922, on 4th or 5th February, at Chauri Chaura village near Gorakhpur city, there some violence occurred because the British police had so much, you know, tortured villagers that they couldn't bear that torture, and they had burnt a police station in Chauri Chaura. And there some 19 policemen were burned alive. Now, Gandhiji, without going into the details, whether what was the reason, how it occurred. Although his own son, Devdas Gandhi, had gone as a fact-finding team to Chauri Chaura later, and it gave a very damaging report for the Britishers, that how Britishers had committed such atrocities that rural people were not to blame for, in a way, burning that police station. But then Gandhiji withdrew. Gandhiji's unconditional withdrawal of such a massive non-cooperative movement when it was at its peak, that actually frustrated the young revolutionaries of India. Especially, there were two names which had, in a way, participated in this thing. Bhagat Singh, at that time, was just 15-year old, less than 15, 14 plus. And he has been also, he didn't directly participate, but other comrades, Chandrasekhar Azad. Chandrasekhar Azad, he was 16-year-old. He was 1 year older than Bhagat Singh. Chandrasekhar Azad in Banaras city, where I was a student of Sanskrit, he, faced 15 lashes on his back by shouting Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. With every lash, he will shout Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. 16-year-old boy suffered so much, his back was bloodied badly, but he was so angry and full of zeal that he refused to take even the Britishers given medicine. The Britishers had a scheme that after lashing, they will put some medicine on the bloodied part. He refused. He went to some nationalist and he said that he took his medicine from there. Now, that was the time when these revolutionary youth felt very frustrated and they thought that Indian freedom cannot be achieved by Gandhian methods because when so many lakhs of people have risen up, then Gandhiji will view. So they said that there has to be a revolutionary path. The topic of your talk today is to focus on that alternative paths of freedom struggle, and this is the alternative path of freedom struggle that 1922 this was withdrawn and 1923 the HRA came into being. Now, in the meantime, Bhagat Singh, after completing his school education, which he actually didn't even matriculate, he was given admission in National College at Lahore, which was set up by Lala Lajpat Rai. It was National School, National College, and National University, all three together. But it existed for only 5 years, from 1921 to 1926. And Gandhiji set up Gujarat Vidyapit in Ahmedabad, and Kashi Vidyapit was set up in Banaras. Lot many actually in your South India also. There must be many such educational institutions which were set up during 1921 to 1925 when the Gandhiji has given call for an alternative education system to be built up in India. So National College has such principles like Acharya Jugal Kishore, who had come from Oxford, and then second principal, Principal Chabil Das. Principal Chabil Das was a radical socialist himself. He wrote books in Urdu like Kisano ke Dukhde, Woes of the Peasant. Socialism kya hai? What is socialism? That he was writing Principal Chabil Das. And for your those who are active in social life, for them, let me tell you, Principal Chabil Das was grandfather, Nana of Sabha Diwan. Sabha Diwan, no to hatred, she has been running this movement in Delhi, and she is the granddaughter of Principal Chabil Das. And Principal Chabil Das was Bhagat Singh's teacher, not only teacher, he was a friend also. Actually, when Bhagat Singh, after the formation of HRA, they formed Naujawan Bharat Sabha in Lahore and other parts of Punjab also. In one form, Comrade Ramchand, who has written the history of HSRA and Naujawan Bharat Sabha and few other books also, and who remained active in Naujawan Bharat Sabha himself. He was the president of Naujawan Bharat Sabha one time. That started functioning from 1924. But actually, the regular kind of history of this organization is available from 1926. So in 1925 also it was active. Around the same time, like you are having AIDSO, there was an organization Punjab of students which was called Punjab Students Union. In Lahore, Lahore was the biggest city of Punjab. Now it's biggest city of Pakistan also. So Lahore actually has crossed the population of 1 crore. And that was called Lahore Student Union. So Lahore Student Union, Naujawan Bharat Sabha, these were the mass organizations which were, activated by Bhagat Singh and his comrades in Lahore. In Lahore, there were comrades of Bhagat Singh like Sukhdev, who was hanged with him, Bhakti Charan Vohra, who was husband of Durga Bhabhi, and little older than Bhagat Singh, and Jayadev, Thapar, and there was a group of people in Lahore, and there was a group of people in Kanpur also. Kanpur, there was Batukeshwar Dutt, there was Ajay Ghosh, there was Jaidev Kapoor, there were Shiv Verma. This was a group in Kanpur where Bhagat Singh had gone in 1923 and where he worked with the Pratap, Hindi Delhi. It was edited by Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi. Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi was a very big leader of Congress party and who was known to Bhagat Singh's father, Kishan Singh also. In that paper, Pratap, Bhagat Singh wrote many articles in the fictitious pseudonym of Balwant. In pseudonym of Balwant, Bhagat Singh wrote many articles in different papers, other than Pratap also. Now, in Kanpur, they were in touch with the communists. Communist party has been formed. CPM says that it was formed in Tashkent in 1921 by M.N. Roy and others. But CPI says that it was formed in Kanpur in 1925, where many this Satya Bhagat and others, Radha Goswami, and these were local, leaders. So, but Bhagat Singh was in touch with all these people. He was in touch with Satya Bhagat. He was in touch with Radha Charan, who was rationalist, and he was also in touch with Muzaffar Ahmed. Muzaffar Ahmed, who was considered a founder of Communist Party. Muzaffar Ahmed has written in his own memoirs that he has met Bhagat Singh maybe in 1924 or sometime. So Bhagat Singh was part of left radical movement. You may not call it communist movement, but you can very much call it left radical movement from the very beginning of his political life. So his own, after they actually got disillusioned from actually the so-called nationalists of today, those who are not tired calling others Deshdrohi and all kind of things. They call you also probably Deshdrohi, who call everyone Deshdrohi, who doesn't, they and who take Bhagat Singh as a great nationalist, they do not know what Bhagat Singh really was. He was a communist from the very beginning. He was a radical leftist from the very beginning. He was a revolutionary socialist from the very beginning. So now they accept it, but now they cannot, deny, because his writings have come into existence. Earlier, they could, Bhagat Singh has been created as an image. Actually, the real Bhagat Singh has, now it's being found slowly and slowly, but for the long time, Bhagat Singh was just an created image. It was created differently by different people, by different factions. And Congress also created Bhagat Singh as a great revolutionary nationalist hero, but denying him his content of socialism. And the so-called nationalists of today, these Hindutvavadis, RSS and these organizations, they created Bhagat Singh of their own. The Khalistanis also created Bhagat Singh of their own. They created Bhagat Singh with the yellow or saffron colored Bhagat Singh. RSS and Khalistanis are common in this thing. They want to have saffronized Bhagat Singh. And they created his even false pictures. Even his pictures which they show are false. They are, painting based. They are not real pictures. There are only 4 real pictures of Bhagat Singh. One at 11 years of age, one at 17 years of age, and one at 20 years of age, and last, which is hat one, which you can see on my back. That was taken from a photographer in Delhi before they went to throw bombs in Central Assembly on 8th April 1929. Bhagat Singh and Dutt both got photographed, and that photographer has to actually give his evidence in the Delhi Assembly bomb case. His evidence is recorded there that they had come and I had clicked their photographs. Anyway, so the created images of Bhagat Singh, what happened is that even the left movement to which Bhagat Singh belonged, which was a sort of their own legacy. They could never see Bhagat Singh as a very real, great, their predecessor. They were also limiting him to a great hero, just a revolutionary hero, a fearless hero. But his ideas, even though Shivarman did focus on his ideas, Sohan Singh Josh also focused on his ideas. Ajay Ghosh, who was part of Bhagat Singh, who was part of that Lahore conspiracy case, who remained secretary of Communist Party of India for 11 years later, and who himself considered Bhagat Singh as a bigger personality than his own personality. Bhagat Singh and his comrade. He also wrote. Everyone was writing about Bhagat Singh's socialist ideas, his socialist or communist credentials, but they were not able to put Bhagat Singh in their own organization the place he deserved. Because had the Communist Party, whether before 64 there were only one Communist Party, all other parties have been formed later. In Bhagat Singh's own time, Kirti Kisan Party was formed. Kirti was actually the magazine which was brought out. The Gadarite revolutionaries, when Gadar failed, 80 of those Gadarites went to Moscow for training in Marxism and socialism. In Moscow, there was a Eastern University of the Toilers, and that was especially set up in Moscow in 1921 for training Asian and African liberation movement activists in liberation strategies and in training of Marxism. 80 Gadarite revolutionaries had gone to Moscow, and many of them got trained, educated in that Eastern University of the Toilers. And after getting training from Eastern University of the Toilers, they will return to their respective countries, whether to Africa or Asia, like the Indians, Gadarite returned to India. And they have set up Bhai Santokh Singh, he also returned from Moscow. And Bhai Ratan Singh Dabbapur was there, and there are so many others. Baba Bhagat Singh Bilga, who lived up to 102 years, and he died in 2009 at the age of 102 years. He was also in Moscow. He had also got that training in Marxism. Now, they started Kirti magazine, and it was Mehnat Kash in Urdu, and it was in Maharashtra. They had set up Peasant and Workers Party. They were parallel to the Communist Party, which they were, they had no antagonistic relation with them. They were friendly with each other. They were always supporting each other, like in Meerut conspiracy case and Lahore conspiracy case. Both prisoners in Meerut and in Lahore supported each other when they were on hunger strike. The Meerut conspiracy case, which was instituted in 1929 and continued till 1933, and Bhagat Singh and comrade. Bhagat Singh was arrested on 8th April 1928, and his other comrades were also arrested, in short time. 8th April 1929, actually. 1929, he was arrested, and within a short period, some of them died, like Chandrasekhar Azad died on 27th February 1931, 1 month before Bhagat Singh was hanged. Bhakticharan Vohra, their close comrade, when they were, testing bomb, which was to be used for getting Bhagat Singh released from jail, he actually died at Lahore Ravi Bank while testing the bomb because bomb exploded in his hand. So that kind of, and most of Sukhdev, etc., and some others, they were all arrested. So their organization was smashed by the Britishers. And but in jail in 1929 in Lahore, same way in Meerut, there were so many Meerut conspiracy case prisoners. So they were supporting each other. They were exchanging, messages of solidarity with each other. When Meerut conspiracy case prisoners were on hunger strike, then Bhagat Singh, etc., have been sending message to them that please break Hunger strike and we need you, etc. And they were same way, they were also sending messages to them. So in that sense, so this was the organization which was formed in 1923, 24, and then they brought out a one very famous what you call pamphlet, the Revolutionary. The Revolutionary was probably brought out on 1st January 1925. And then in 1925 itself, they HRA had a action because they were action oriented party. That time they were believing in doing action to collect funds, etc., and to do revolutionary activities. So, but they were trying their hand at the government sources. So the treasury amount was going from one train, which is they called Kakori Rail Dacoity, which happened on 9th August 1925. Kakori is a small station close to Lucknow, the famous capital of Uttar Pradesh. So there they, attacked the train and looted the government treasury. And in that, I think one or two people were killed also. But they brought that money. In that case, lot many people were arrested later. Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Roshan Singh, and Rajendra Lahiri. These four people were hanged on 19th December 1927. This case continued for 1.5 years. And Rajendra Lahiri was hanged 2 days earlier on 17th December. Other three were hanged in different jails, in Gorakhpur, in Faizabad, in Allahabad, and in Gonda. So, but Bhagat Singh was part of this organization. And these people were thinking in this period. Bhagat Singh was voraciously reading. Lala Lajpat Rai had set up Dwarkadas Library apart from National College in Lahore. Now that Dwarkadas Library used to get the latest books from all over the world and like Mars Capital. I have seen its collection is there now in Chandigarh. The same library was transferred from Lahore to Chandigarh after partition. Now, in that library, they were getting books of Marx, of Lenin, books on Soviet Revolution. The Russian Revolution, Russian Socialist Revolution led by Lenin, occurred in October 1917, which is called the November Revolution or October Revolution, which actually, according to dates, it's 7th November. So they were actually reading books from that Dwarkadas library. And Bhagat Singh was voracious in it. Sudev was also reading, Bhaktcharan Vora was also reading, all these people were reading. And they were influenced by Chabil Das was also reading, he was a socialist. So all these, by reading all these things and by getting the experiences of Naujawan Bharat Sabha, Lahore Student Union, then they decided to meet on 8th and 9th September 1928. They met in Firoz Shah Kotla grounds of Delhi. There were 10 people there. Chandrasekhar Azad couldn't come, but Bhagat Singh has spoken to Chandrasekhar Azad. In that thread, there 2 days they discussed the strategy of their organization, the strategy of their revolutionary practices, and they came to a conclusion that these kind of activities, like looting treasuries or attacking some individuals, uh, actually it was a terrorist activity which they decided to shed away. And they said, okay, we have to now try for achieving socialism through our revolutionary movement. So they put that word socialism into their organization. Though they changed the name of their organization in Delhi from HRA to HSR, Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, and its arm wing was Hindustan Socialist Republican Army. Now, it was a qualitative change. It was a qualitative change in the whole revolutionary movement of India, not just their group. At that time, their group was the largest, biggest group. In fact, there are not much, examples of other revolutionary activities in those days. So there were people from Bengal, there were people from Maharashtra, there were people from UP, there were people from Bihar, there were people from Punjab, and there were people, one or two people from South also in this organization. So what they decided that now onward, they will focus upon mass organization. They will create mass organizations of students, of youth, of workers, of peasants, and through mass awareness, radical mass organization they will, create, and with that massive resistance, they will fight against the British colonialism, and they will, in a way, become an alternative movement for freedom to the Congress. Now, if we see, there three trends emerge very clearly during Indian political scene. One was the largest was the Indian National Congress. So it was strong all through. It was getting separated. It was getting different factions, but still it has the largest kind of following. And then these revolutionaries created a niche for themselves. They created a sort of alternative vision of the freedom. Congress, for Congress, the vision of freedom was not much. They had not spoken about feudalism, they had not spoken about capitalism, but these were the people who had spoken against feudalism, they were speaking against capitalism. They were very clear that in India, it hardly matters whether they are Britishers are ruling or Indian exploiting factions or classes are ruling. So they wanted to liberate India from exploitative classes, whether they were ruling through British format or whether they were ruling through Indian format, an Indian, Now, at the same time, in 1925, around this RSS was formed, Muslim League was formed. Now, these were the sectarian tendencies in Indian socio-political scene. These were the organizations, whether Muslim League or RSS or some other this sectarian organization, even among Sikhs, so which were divisive, which wanted to focus on religion-oriented nationalism. So they created a Hindu nationalist idea, RSS. Muslim created a Muslim nationalist idea, and Sikhs also created Master Tara Singh, etc. They were demanding Khalistan or Sikhistan. They were also created. Now there are three trends. One was the centrist trend, which was Congress Party, which has includes rightist as well as leftist. Congress has in its inside Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru like people who were leftist by orientation, and Sardar Patel like people who were rightist by orientation. Then there was a clear-cut socialist movement in the form of HSRA, Bhagat Singh's organization, which has a clear-cut perception of smashing not only British colonialism, but smashing Indian feudal and capitalist classes also, and creating Russian-like revolution. Lenin like revolution in India. That was Bhagat Singh and his comrades' vision. Then the third was dividing Indian people into Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and creating divisive kind of. Now that was the traitors. There were the real anti-nationals. When you see Indian history, these Khalistanis, Muslim League, RSS, they were the real anti-nationals, which they are today also. Today also they are the real anti-nationals. It's not to whom they call anti-national, they are the patriots. They are the real Deshbhakt. To whom they describe anti-national, they themselves are anti-national. In the RSS and this government, which they all talk about nationalism and Deshbhakti, etc., they are the traitors. They are the real anti-national. And they prove every time, they prove every moment that they are anti-national. Because even suppose, if you see in the present circumstances, the kind of thing they are doing, smashing the real Indian nationalism into pieces by bringing out this kind of laws. UAPA was not brought by them, UAPA was brought by Congress. But then the CAA, the Constitutional Amendment Act, which, isolates Muslim community, that is their real anti-national act. These are the kind of laws which they have created. UAPA is like Rowlatt Act against which Jallianwala Bagh was happened. So these ruling parties are the real anti-national, anti-people parties. And they are the real Deshdrohis. It's not the leftists who are Deshdrohis. They are the real Deshdrohis. So one has to understand how the different trends for freedom struggle in Indian freedom movement have been going on. Now, what happens is that Bhagat Singh, etc., this HSRA, when they decided to go in for mass movement, then Simon Commission came to India in October 1928. In September, they took this decision, and in October, Simon Commission came. Against Simon Commission, there was a massive mass resistance, and they, Naujawan Bharat Sabha, also decided to have a massive demonstration against Simon Commission. Now, even with Lala Lajpat Rai, they had a love-hate relationship. They had a very critical relationship. They considered Lala Lajpat Rai on one side as a getting communal, getting with Hindutvites. But at the same time, he was a mass leader. He was called Sher Punjab. Actually, Lala Lajpat Rai has very complex kind of thing. He has both progressive and regressive aspects in his personality. In fact, just 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I read Sanjeev Barua's article in Indian Express, where he has, that was very surprising for me, that Lala Lajpat Rai, when he was in America, he was great friend of great black ideologue W.E.B. Boyce. W.E.B. Boyce. W.E.B. Boyce, the author of Black Souls, his famous book is Black Souls. And he was friend with him. And in America, he was bringing out Young India. Its files are there in New York Public Library. And he was sympathetic to Ghadar Party. Then he was the first president, first All India president of ATAC, All India Trade Union Congress, which is a CPI organization these days. But its first president was Lala Lajpat Rai. That was in 1920. So even CPI was formed in 1925 in their history. But then now ATAC is the CPI body. So he was at one time worker leader also. He was one time close to black people also. He was one time close to Ghadarite revolutionaries also. But he was getting closer to Hindutvites also. Now their Bhalti, etc. were very critical of him. Now actually Lala Lajpat Rai himself used to say that ये नौजवान मुझे लेनिन बनाना चाहते हैं, मैं लेनिन नहीं बन सकता. So and Bhagat Singh people used to say ये लाला बुढ़ा हो गया है. This Lion of Punjab is now old. Now उसको वो कविता भी पढ़ के सुना देते थे कि ये, लेकिन in that critical situation, they asked Lala Lajpat Rai himself to lead the mass procession against Simon Commission. And Lala also agreed. So it was a kind of, with the relation between Congress party and the revolutionaries, there were always a sort of critical relationship. They were very friendly to each other, they were very critical of each other, but they were not inimical to each other. Even to Mahatma Gandhi, Bhagat Singh and his comrades, they always addressed him with respect. Mahatma Ji never said any bad word about him, never used any kind of bad word for him. Nehru and Subhash Bose, they were very friendly with them, and they were also very friendly with Subhash Bose has presided over the Punjab Student Conference, the like your AIDSO conference sometime in Lahore on 19th October 1929, and that time Subhash Bose had gone and met Bhagat Singh in jail also. So with Subhash Bose and Nehru, they had very close friendly relations. So, but with communal people, they were very, totally against. And Chandrasekhar Yashpal has written in his memoirs that Chandrasekhar Azad was once called by this Litvites, some of them, that and they offered to kill Jinnah and we will give you so much money. So with hatred, Chandrasekhar Azad told Yashpal that they are such nasty people. They want such kind of things, to do. So they disliked, they thoroughly detested, thoroughly condemned this kind of sectarian Muslim, Hindu or Sikh organization. They were complete for, now I can refer to Bhagat Singh's writings also, because all these writings, some of you might have seen this book. This is the Bhagat Singh Reader. It's more than 600-page book. All writings of Bhagat Singh have now been collected in this book in English. They were available earlier in Marathi, in Hindi, in Urdu, in Punjabi, but now they are available in English also. And by chance, Amazon has now kept its Kindle edition very cheap. They are now offering it just 249 rupees on Kindle. The print edition might be a little expensive, but any one of you who are used to read on screen, on Kindle or just thing, they can just have this book in a very inexpensive manner. Anyway, so the writing which Bhagat Singh has written like Achut Samasya, the problem of untouchability, that is dealing with Dalit question, and where he addresses Dalits as the loins of the nation. He addresses them loins, and he tells them to snatch their rights and not beg their rights. He encourages Dalits to fight for their rights and snatch them. Don't beg. So that is their message to Dalits. That's why actually Dalit movement in India, they consider undoubtedly Ambedkar their icon. They consider Jyotiba Phule, they consider Periyar, etc. Or in Kerala also, their icons, Narayana Guru or something. But they actually accept Bhagat Singh as their own. Dalit movement accept. They do not accept any other like Gandhi, Nehru, even Subhash. They don't accept them. They accept Bhagat Singh as their own because Bhagat Singh identified with themselves and tell them we are loyal and you should fight and you should snatch your rights. Now, other articles or his writing which I would like to mention is Communal Rights and its Resolve and Religion and Our Freedom Struggle. In these two essays, they smash the idea of communal nationalism. The idea of communal nationalism of RSS, of Muslim League, of Khalistanis, they smashed that idea. They said that these are the people who are the real anti-nationalists, who are the real Deshdrohis. They want, divide Indian society. And he wrote this communal and its resolve after in 1924 There was a huge communal riot in Kohat. Kohat is near Peshawar. Now it's in Pakistan. Pakhtunkhwa. Getting from that, riots, he refers to them that ye or he uses such strong words. We cannot say on our own these words. But Bhagat Singh says, in dharmo ne Hindustan ka beda gark kar diya hai. These religions have destroyed India. That is his. Later on, you can see that he develops his ideas more in Wyman axis. But other than that, his court statement, 6th June 29 court statement in session court, and also in the High Court. And his last very major writing, Letter to Young Political Workers, which he wrote just 1.5 months before his execution, 2nd February 1931, Letter to Young Political Workers. Actually, this is the whole program of revolution. You can find a sort of when people say that he was not communist or he was not properly Marxist, they should read Letter to Young Political Workers. You all might have read, few of them might have read, but you see how he gives the program of a radical communist party to make mass organization of workers, of peasants, of other sections, and then go in for revolution. So, has Bhagat Singh been allowed to live? He would have led the Indian Revolution. He would have been the Lenin of India, undoubtedly. Actually, Britishers wanted to kill him by all means. The sham trial which they have conducted, which has been exposed by A.G. Naraini in his very well-known book, The Trial of Bhagat Singh, you can see how sham the trial was. And whatever Indian people or resistance has been, lakhs and lakhs of people have signed, against the execution of Bhagat Singh. There were massive demonstrations in all cities of India. I think in those days in South also. There were a lot of demonstrations in South also. And but Britishers were determined to kill him because they knew this man is most dangerous. He can bring Bolshevik revolution in India. He can bring socialist revolution in India. He can lead because his capacity was such, his competence was such, and his organization skills were such, and his non-faction was such that everyone in the revolutionary organization treated Bhagat Singh as his own friend, very close friend, whether it was Batukeshwar Dutt, whether it was Vijay Kumar Sinha, whether it was Shiv Varma, everybody thought that Bhagat Singh was very close to him. So that kind of personality that he could win the faith of so many of his comrades and his concern, that looked to Britishers a very dangerous man. He thought that this man, if he is allowed to live, he will not only smash colonialism, he will smash also feudalism and capitalism. And in 47, Britishers' economics, financial interests were protected in India. The so-called independence which we got in 47, all their tea gardens in Assam, all their petrol pumps in India, they were all owned by Britishers. And they continue to be owned by Britishers till 70 or so. So all their financial interests were safe, and neither capitalists were touched nor feudals were touched. The half-mired land reform. Actually, I think only Kerala and West Bengal and some states have seen the proper land reform. All other states in India haven't seen any proper land reform. That's why peasants are still under debt. That's why they're doing suicides. And you have seen the present condition. 40 crores of unorganized workers who are suffering during this COVID-19. It has shred apart the so-called all the facade of Achhedan, all the facade of Sabka Vikas, all the facade of so-called democracy. It's completely now class society is completely exposed. Plaza Site is completely exposed. There are 40 crore unorganized workers dying with hunger, dying with corona. No one has to take care of them. These are workers are dying on railway tracks. They are dying on roads. They are dying walking. They are dying cycling. They are dying all. There is no treatment done. There is no quarantine done. How can they afford even they get corona? How can they afford such lakhs of rupees private hospitals are charging? Lakhs of rupees. It's an anti-national government. Had there been a nationalist government, it would have, all private hospitals would have been taken into government control at this critical time. Spain has done it. Many countries in the West, bourgeois countries have done it. They have not allowed private hospitals to suck the blood of people, to squeeze the blood of people. The blood of even middle class people is being squeezed in the name of coronavirus. Huge crisis. It's the anti-national government killing Indian people by corona and by protecting corporates. At this moment, any national government would have, taken into control at least for few months, at least for a year, all the private hospitals into its own control, and it has given free treatment to all citizens. In America, which is ideal of our rulers, they are giving lakhs of rupees dole to those people who lost jobs. Here in India, they are giving 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. How many days one will survive in 500 rupees and 1000 rupees? That also they are not providing them. They have skewed the blood of workers, by charging the railway fare from them, by charging all these kind of things. And they have been paying to the private truck owners and all these people lakhs of fees. They have sold themselves. Workers have sold themselves to get back to their home. So what kind of, the touch of nationalism is the care of people, care of its citizens. And it's not I'm not talking about the few citizens. At this moment, more than 60 crore or 70 crore or more than half the population of this country is under great stress. Under great stress. Even middle class is under great stress by this kind of coronavirus. If there are real patriots, if there are real nationalists, they will help those 60 crore people in this time of crisis. But this government is protecting the interest of corporates. Their profits must not go. People may die. People may die, and they're dying. So that's how, had Bhagat Singh been there, had Bhagat Singh led the Indian Revolution, do you think India would have been in such situation? Never. And the followers of Bhagat Singh, you like AIDSO or other left organizations or student organizations or youth organizations of all groups, of all parties, I would say, and even the youth who are non-party youth, they should read him. They should see his vision of India, what kind of vision of freedom and revolution for India he has. And especially in the times, in coronavirus times, when the class nature of society stands completely exposed, the so-called illusions and myths have been torn in all shreds and torn to make society, now on the youth of India and also other people, how to organize these unorganized workers, 40 crore unorganized workers, and make a new struggle for freedom and revolution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this enlightening lecture on Bhagat Singh and
Could it reach people in the later part?
yes, what sir?
Could people
Button?
hear? Could
Yes,
people
yes,
hear
yes,
me?
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes. No,
okay.
no
I can.
complaints.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir, for delivering this wonderful, enlightening speech through our platform ADSO Kerala's Facebook page.
I'm not
First,
hearing you.
not
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah. Now it's
Okay, so
okay.
thank you, sir, for delivering this enlightening lecture. It was very clear. You gave us a clear understanding on Bhagat Singh's politics and his vision of Indian society. And thank you for this lecture again. And first, we decided to have a question and answer interactive session, but because of the shortage of time, we are
Yeah. Actually,
concluding
I
this.
spoke 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Yes, yes, we crossed to 1 hour. So we are
Yeah.
concluding this program now, and we shall continue our discussion and on this topic again. I hope you will cooperate with us for again and again on again and
Sure.
again. So thank you again. So
Sure.
just
Okay.
concluding this session. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for all.
Greetings to all your comrades.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.